Hey, and welcome to the Bossed Up Podcast, episode 513. I'm your host, Emily Aries, the founder and CEO of Bossed Up. And I'm not going to lie, I just put my kids to bed and have snuck back into my home office to give you the lowdown on some good news for a change. I wanted to jump on the mic here to tell you a little bit about a brand new law that has been passed here in Colorado that once again has me just shouting from the rooftops how ahead of the curve the state of Colorado is when it comes to care, when it comes to making this a state that cares about people and making this the best state to be in if you are someone who is a caretaker or plans to become a caretaker in the future, whether we're talking about caring for kids or caring for elderly people or sick loved ones. Like, this is the state that cares about caretakers. So let me back up and share the good news, because in a world where I feel a little afraid often to even open my New York Times app every day, this is a headline that made me smile from ear to ear. So here's the bottom line. Once again, Colorado has pushed the boundaries and been on the bleeding edge of providing paid family and medical leave. You may recall that back in 2020, I've podcasted about this before here, Colorado became the first state in the nation to pass paid family and medical leave via popular vote. The voters of Colorado on our ballots voted in via ballot initiative a paid family and medical leave program that established an entirely new state department devoted to this work within the Colorado Department of Labor and Employment. Family, FAMLI, became our new division devoted to providing paid family and medical leave. The ballot initiative was passed in 2020 and implementation began almost right away, but the benefits weren't available until just recently, January of 2024. And I've been proud to put my support behind paid family and medical leave on both the state and national level since really moving here to Colorado in 2017. I got involved with small business advocacy organizations like the nationwide group Small Business Majority or the Colorado-based group Good Business Colorado, and did everything from providing testimony at the State House to writing letters to the editor to sitting down with media outlets and really talking about why I supported this legislation and supported the family program as not only a mom myself, but as an employer who's currently, right now, my employee, Irene, is out on paid family and medical leave funded entirely by the state. So thank you, Irene, and thank you to the state of Colorado. I also had the unique perspective of having had my first child, Max, in 2021 before this law was on the books, or before it was implemented, I should say. It was passed in 2020, but it hadn't been available in terms of those benefits weren't available to me when Max was born. So I basically lived off my savings for my own postpartum period. The 3-month leave that I took from my business was self-funded. And then fast forward 3 years later, and both Brad, the dad, and myself have benefited directly from the family program upon the arrival of our second child, Josephine. In fact, Brad is still benefiting from his paid family and medical leave through the state by taking intermittent leave. After taking about 4 or 6 weeks up front when JoJo first arrived, he now stays home with her 1 day a week that's paid for by the state and significantly helps reduce our childcare costs. So needless to say, I've long been a big supporter of this program, and I'm thrilled to see how Colorado, on many fronts related to workers' rights, Colorado leads the nation. As of now, 13 other states and DC have mandatory family leave programs, while another 24 states and jurisdictions have voluntary options. Okay, so this is all old news, but important background context to understand what's just happened. As of the close of this past legislative session, lawmakers here in the Colorado State Capitol, led by Senator Faith Winter and Senator Jeff Bridges, along with support from House members Representative Jenny Wilford and Yara Zokai, put forth a bill, Senate Bill 144, that was signed into law by Governor Jared Polis that expands the family program, creating an entirely new type of leave, neonatal care leave. This will now allow parents to take up to 12 additional weeks of paid time off funded by the state to care for newborns while they are in the neonatal intensive care unit, the NICU. In other words, parents can afford to take paid leave now, even while their kids are still in the hospital. And then after those 12 weeks are up, hopefully the babies won't even be there for 12 weeks, but however long, up to 12 weeks of paid leave that they get while their babies are in the NICU, then when they return home, they can still take an additional full bonding leave through the family program, which is up to 12 weeks of paid leave as well. This means that any parent whose child is in the NICU could receive up to a total of 24 weeks of paid family leave, 12 weeks of bonding leave and 12 weeks for NICU leave. Now, I have seen firsthand good friends of mine who had to navigate this very tricky situation where a friend who comes to mind in particular had a high-risk pregnancy with twins, delivered via emergency C-section. Both girls were in the NICU for weeks on end, and mom gets discharged from the hospital and has to leave her babies behind. That alone is a gut-wrenching experience to go through. But on top of that, which millions of moms go through this, right, every year, but that experience compounded by financial stress of not knowing whether you can afford to take time off without pay because your babies are in the NICU and it's not really qualified for bonding leave yet through paid family and medical leave programs. If you're even lucky enough to have paid family and medical leave, it's like the financial stress on top of the stress of having a newborn in the hospital after you've been discharged yourself is absolutely gut-wrenching. Now, thanks to this groundbreaking law in Colorado, parents here are not going to have to make that decision with the same constraints. No family should have to make the difficult decision to return to work while their children are in the NICU, right? While their newborn is in the neonatal intensive care unit, you're going back to work to make ends meet because you can't take unpaid time off. Like that should not be a choice people have to make. And yet, until this law was passed, that was the reality. Now, the incredible thing about this legislation is there's even more to it. It's not just that the benefits have been expanded to create this entirely new class of leave, but at the same time, they lowered premiums. The new law lowers premiums for employers and workers from 0.9% from every paycheck withheld to 0.88% of wages, making coverage even more affordable for Colorado workers and employers. So up until now, that 0.9% was split 50-50. So for every paycheck, employees are contributing to the state insurance program 0.45% of their take-home pay, which for somebody making $65,000 a year, we're talking about like $292 a year. So a couple dollars out of every paycheck from the employee side. For larger companies, right, for companies with more than 9 employees, the employer was also paying 0.45% of each employee's take-home pay. And then how much you receive in terms of benefits from the state depends on how much your salary is, with a maximum cap this year that's been around like $1,200 a week. And the new Colorado Department of Labor and Employment's, I think it's the Workers' Compensation Division, just came out with a new calculation around, I think it has to do with like the cost of living adjustments or inflation or what have you. The new number is going to be somewhere around $1,500 a week maximum, right? And so based on how much you make, I think they reimburse you up to like 85% of your paycheck per week with a cap of that amount. But that is all coming from an insurance program that's funded by every worker and every large employer. Now, for me and small business owners, since this law was enacted, we haven't had to pay anything for our employees to get those benefits. So someone like Irene has been contributing that 0.45% of her take-home pay to the insurance program as an employee. And me as a small business owner has not had to contribute anything. So if your business has I think it's 9 or fewer employees in your business, your small business owner is not on the hook for any of that amount. So to me, it's like an incredible opportunity for small business owners like myself to be able to compete with top talent without having the big benefits packages that larger companies have to offer. And now that 0.9% is going down to 0.88% for the entirety of next year, which according to projections from the state fiscal analysts, this change alone will save Colorado workers and employers something like $35 million next fiscal year. So once again, I just want to tip my hat to our legislators here in Colorado for being on the forefront of this issue, for making Colorado the state that cares about caretakers and the state that makes being a parent feel possible. Don't get me wrong, there is so much more to do. As you've probably heard me rant about here already, my next policy priority is our childcare crisis, and something I've been harping about for years. And I'm proud to be a member of EPIC, the executives partnering to invest in children nonprofit advocacy group here in Colorado that works nationwide on childcare affordability. But if we can solve for that here in Colorado, I mean, someone should give us an award for being the state that cares the most about becoming a parent and like makes it possible to be a parent in this country, which frankly feels impossible. The latest math in our household is right now we're paying $4,500 a month for childcare for 2. And that's with Brad staying home a day a week and my parents watching JoJo a day a week. So just let that sink in and let's acknowledge that we have more work to do. So if you want to throw your support behind these kinds of organizations that advocate for paid family and medical leave, or if you want to tell your local lawmakers to follow the model being set here in the Centennial State, head over to bossedup.org/take action to learn more about the systemic solutions that drive real and true lasting gender equality, including paid family and medical leave. As always, for links to everything I just talked about, including links to a cute media interview I did when Max was like a year and a half old, all about paid family and medical leave here in Colorado, head to bossedup.org/episode 513. That's bossedup.org/episode 513. There you'll find resources, you'll find easy to share blog post summarizing today's episode, and a fully written out transcript if that's your thing. And until next time, let's keep bossin' in pursuit of our purpose, and together, let's lift as we climb.